In some absolutely big-time breaking news, Vince McMahon is making his way back into WWE. This, according to a Wall Street Journal report. Pinch me if I've said that before. Vince McMahon is making a return to WWE, and he is doing so to facilitate a sale. According to the report, there is so much to talk about here. I'm going to read a snippet from the Wall Street Journal report. This is by Lauren Thomas in the Wall Street Journal. She says, quote, Mr. McMahon, who has a majority voting power through his ownership of WWE's Class B stock, has told the company that he is electing himself and two former co-presidents and directors, Michelle Wilson and George Barrios, to the board. The move to reinstate Mr. McMahon, which the board previously rebuffed, and others will require three current directors to vacate their positions. The report also stated that Vince would be coming in, conducting a full review ahead of the company, ahead of the TV rights negotiations that are slated to take place in 2024, and that this is all being done with the intent to help facilitate a sale. Wow. So let's go back real quick and think about the timeline of events here. June 2022, the initial reports come out about these hush money payments that Vince McMahon had been paying these former employees. And the initial one came out from the Wall Street Journal. The Wall Street Journal, by the way, has been there every step of the way with this reporting on Vince McMahon. They report that Vince McMahon was paying out these hush money payments. We saw another report that said there was a total of $12 million, some of which was paid to cover up alleged sexual misconduct. And then we have the big report, the big news of Vince McMahon retiring in July. And that he was done, that it was a new era in WWE. Stephanie McMahon and Nick Khan came in and were announced to be the co-CEO of the company. And Triple H was coming in to head up creative and essentially be the product lead on the television side of things. With this news breaking, with Vince McMahon, basically if you guys have seen that movie or that show Succession, this is a big time Succession move, forcing his way back in when he was out. He comes in, says, these people are my people. He's bringing in George Barrios. He's bringing in Michelle Wilson. He's saying, these are my people. We're coming in. You guys, three of you guys, gotta leave. We don't know who the three yet are, but you gotta leave. Because this is my company. I am the owner of the majority of stock, and I have the voting power here. And here's the thing. We heard the report in December that Vince McMahon was or intended on returning to WWE in some way, shape, or form. And I think it was easy for a lot of us to blow it off as, oh, well, this is just the rumblings of a man who has no power. A man who had a lot of power for a very long time who now has none. And boy, were we naive about that. Because everything that we have just seen and these reports indicate that this is happening. And that not only is this happening, but this is all happening with the intent, it looks like, to facilitate a sale of the company. And we've talked a lot about WWE potentially facilitating a sale of the company. It happened with the budget cuts in COVID-19. We talked about it a lot then. It kind of has gone away a lot in the Nick Khan and Stephanie McMahon Triple H era of WWE. But this is a sign. Like, Vince McMahon it's weird. All the reports always indicated that Vince McMahon was always the one who was floating around the idea of, like, hey, if we sold, how much would we sell for, right? That was always the rumor and the report in the innuendo. And it looks like to me, at least from the outside looking in, this is a case of Vince McMahon, one, reclaiming power of the company that he lost, and then the company that he founded. He's reclaiming the power he lost. And number two, coming in and saying, I'm gonna get something out of this. The thing that I put my life into, I'm getting something out of it here. And what he could get out of it, what WWE could get out of it, like this, like people, we talk a lot about how much WWE would go for. Think about this in like 2016 or whatever. UFC sold for $4 billion. And at the time, that was a big deal. WWE, given where they are in the TV landscape, given all their international deals, given their different revenue streams, given how well their product is performing compared to other weekly shows, they're going to get way more than $4 billion. Like, for me, the bottom is 6, and then the top would be somewhere upwards of $10 billion. I think a lot of analysts, a lot of economic analysts have said that a potential sale of WWE would probably round out to about $8 billion or something in that realm, but I could see WWE going for $10 billion. Like, this is a company with multiple billion-dollar deals already on the table. And on top of whatever else they have internationally. Like, the international revenue streams, we don't talk about that as much, but they are just as an important player in this as anything else. So there's a lot that could happen. And if we're talking about who could potentially buy WWE, the two big names are, one, NBC Universal, who they already have a foot in the door with the Peacock deal. They're already signed with Peacock. Like, it would make a lot of sense for WWE to sell to Peacock, or to sell to Universal, NBC Universal, excuse me, and then NBC can just consolidate their content. Like, that's a way of consolidating your content. They never have to pay a rights fee for WWE ever again because they own it. That's big time for them. And if we're talking about, Disney, there is a way, I think, for Disney to make it happen. I think it's a little more difficult because NBC has such a big foot in the door. And I think Nick Khan, remember, he was a big player in these negotiations for WWE with the NBC Universal deal. So if he's going to be helping Vince facilitate the sale, I think that there's one side that they're going to lean to on that. And the rest of it is like, what happens to the product afterwards? How is the product going to change? How is this going to change not just WWE, but the way fans view pro wrestling? That's something we're going to be talking about for a long time. And on top of it, and I'd be remiss if I did not mention this. According to Fightful Select, a lot of the talent were in the dark about all of this. The indication, this is not in the report, I believe, but the indication is that Vince sent a letter, or this is in the Wall Street Journal report, I should say. Vince sent a letter to the shareholders back in December stating that he intended to come back. And the wrestlers didn't know. And now that we're in a situation where a man who has multiple alleged sexual misconduct allegations on the table and paid upwards of $12 million in hush money payments, it could be on his way back into a company and could be on his way back into a creative position, because we know Vince is coming back. He's going to want to be in a creative position, you would think, right? And what does that do to the women on the roster? Like, this is a legitimate thing, right? Like, the way I've always thought about this is you cannot have that guy around your talent. It's a walking HR violation is the bare minimum of the problems. Like, she cannot be trusted, I think, around employees. That's always been my position on this, but it's big news, guys. This is big news. We will stay up to date on this. We'll keep you up to date, I should say, on this. Be sure to hit that like button if you haven't already done so. Subscribe. Put your comments in the comment section below. Let me know what you guys think about this news. And as always, keep it real.